Hello, so today we're going to take a counterintuitive look at how to relieve anxiety. And I'm going to use an example of a client that I helped with this particular issue. She came to me and said, "Oh, I've been anxious all week and I've just I've tried everything. I've been trying to get rid of it. I just can't calm down. I've been trying to calm down so much, but it's still here." And here's sort of the counterintuitive view. I pointed out to her that trying to get rid of your anxiety, trying to calm down, is a way that we resist it. And that almost never works with any given sort of emotional or nervous system state. What you resist persists. So when you're trying to force your body to calm down or to push the anxiety away, that just makes it hold on even more tightly. You can imagine if someone came to your front door and they were feeling anxious, and you're like, no, you can only come in once you've calmed down. Like, go and relax, and then you can come in. Are they going to calm down, or is that going to make them even more anxious compared to if you welcome them in, right? If you're like, oh, of course you're anxious, that's fine, no problem. Come in, take a seat. I'll make you a cup of tea. Don't worry about it. You can feel part of you starting to relax with that. So here's the tip in a nutshell. Rather than resisting the anxiety, instead you want to flow with it. You want to help it to move through and to do what it wants to do. Because here's the thing about anxiety. What it really is there's some energy that's coming up from your sort of unconscious body, right? This is most often some kind of fear, like there's like a fear energy. It's got a kind of a restless feel to it, right? Because fear wants to move, fear wants to run away. It's got a huge amount of energy to it. Now, it can be other things, like it can be anger, is also quite often. And underneath both of those, there can be hurt. But that's kind of beyond the scope of where we're going. I'll stick with the fear example here for most appropriate. And it's not safe to feel that fear. In a situation you're anxious, we don't want to acknowledge and feel all that fear, so we push it down. Our body tenses against it, which is that feeling of like the lid coming down on that energy. And that's exactly why anxiety has that kind of rabbit in the headlights feel, where part of you like wants to run all over the place and panic and rush around, and the other part of you is like almost like frozen to the spot, like you feel like incapable of making any decisions, because there's this movement like of a huge amount of energy and also this massive sort of frozen lid on top, and you're kind of stuck in between the two. So when you're trying to resist that on top of it, you get even more stuck and frozen and tense. So with this client, I invited her to feel into the body, and this is kind of the technique. I'll explain it as we go. The first step is to feel into the body. So I was like, okay, where do you feel it? She's like, okay, she closes her eyes. It's like, okay, the shoulders. It seemed to mainly be in the shoulders. The second step is to kind of intuit, feel into it. How does it want to move? Because normally we're so in our heads trying to fix the anxiety outwardly. Like, okay, I need to solve all these problems. I need to make sure that person's happy. Only once that person's happy, then I can relax. We're so far away from the anxiety itself, which lives in the body. So you turn towards that and intuit, okay, how does it want to move? In her case, her shoulders started like tremoring and sort of shaking. She could kind of, subtly at first, but she could feel it. If you actually just put your attention there and just be patient and just have that open intention to listen to what's going on, things will start to move by themselves. So she starts shaking the shoulder, and then it starts going down into the arms. This is where the third step is you kind of just get the mind out of the way and try your best to let the body just move however it wants, which can be a little tricky. You might feel a little bit weird. And this is what happened. My client, she felt a little self-conscious. So she was like, I could keep going, but I feel a bit weird. So I suggested, okay, turn off the camera, and then you won't feel like I'm sort of watching you, So she did, and then she actually ended up getting on the floor, and then, her legs were shaking, her arms were shaking. And she's sort of reporting this to me as it's happening. And there's just all this energy is just like discharging from the body, like this kind of all this restlessness. And this is actually what animals do in the wild. If a gazelle gets chased by a lion or whatever, a badger, a raccoon or something, a really enormous raccoon, then it'll once it's safe, it'll lie down and have a proper, like, a proper, its whole body is shaking vigorously to discharge all the fear that's sort of, that fear energy that's in the muscles, right, to help them escape. And humans do this too, right? But we never discharge it. We just accumulate fear and accumulate fear and accumulate fear, all pent up in the system, and we wonder why we feel anxious. Because we're at work and we can't just lie on the floor and shake like a gazelle that's just been chased by a giant raccoon or whatever. So she then gets back in the chair. This is like 4 minutes, 3-4 minutes. Just like, calm. Like her experience, she said, still as a pond, she said, quote. Because rather than resisting, we went with it. We just listened to it and let that stuck energy just move. Do what it needed to do. And you need to give it some space and give it some time. So what I recommend is, I was just saying before, you want to feel into it. Give yourself some space, stand in the middle of the room, lie down, just feel into how it wants to move and do your best to, 5-10 minutes of letting it shake, stretch, whatever it wants to do. And you'll find that releases that kind of energy that's feeling stuck. And then there's no need for the anxiety. There's no need to tense because there's nothing left to hold in. Do you see? Once you've dissipated that energy stuck underneath, the anxiety has no function anymore, and so the body will relax. It's like you've welcomed it in and through you. It's gone through, rather than pushing it away and be like, no, I need to calm down. Calming down never works with the anxiety because you're forcing it. So you want to go with it, go with the flow of the energy. I hope that helps. I have more resources. My nervous system regulation toolkit has got tons of sort of exercises and ideas for resourcing nervous system regulation, processing emotions, and so on. And I've got other blogs on how to feel your feelings and working with anger and anxiety and all kinds of things. So check that out in the description. Bye.